This episode of the Sports Box is sponsored by DJ Cruz, aka Anthony Cruz. For all your DJ and event planning needs, call Anthony at 609-513-6395 and mention you saw him on the Sports Box.
Well, hello again, and just like a baby's ass, we're smooth to the touch. This is the Sports Box. The only opinion that matters is right here. I am Mike Galetta, a.k.a. Hamilton Mike, along with my partner, Brian, the Ranger Tard. Brian, how are you today?
I'm good. That was a good one.
Did you like that one?
I like that one.
Every once in a while, I come with a good one. That was good. So, there's a lot of ways to get us. You can always get us around if you need to. You got to call the Sports Box. Let us know.
150%. We're on Twitter at Sports Box Show. I want to thank those of you who are following us on Twitter. You can also find us on Facebook at Sports Box Show, but we can't thank you guys enough for subscribing to the show. Our subscriber numbers since the NFL playoffs have started have gone up by like 500-600%. We can't thank you guys enough for that. We appreciate the support, and we're going to keep bringing you the content that you're looking for. So make sure that you keep an eye out for us. If you haven't subscribed yet, you have the opportunity at the end of the show. You see a Sports Box logo right to the side of my head here.
Yep.
Make sure you click that and subscribe and join the party. We're going to keep giving you great content all year.
Yeah, and to all those fans who tuned in for our picks, we got to thank you. But unfortunately, I picked Atlanta. I picked Green Bay, and I was a little bit off there. Yeah. And I took Pittsburgh as well. So if I was doing this full time, I wouldn't be doing it here. So I'd be playing in Vegas right now. But we give you an opinion. So
0-2 week, and I was 1-1. The Atlanta guys are really beating down on us.
Definitely beating down on us.
Yeah.
That was a beatdown. I think the kind of turning point of that game was the Green Bay fumble at the 10-yard line. That kind of turned the whole game around, and just because you figure if they score there, it's 10-7. Whole new ball game. And the same thing with the Pittsburgh game. You're on a half-yard line with Pittsburgh. Why do you call 2 runs there? They knew the run was coming. I don't know. But that's why I'm not an NFL coach.
Right. Overall, not really that competitive championship Sunday.
No.
But this is the first of our Super Bowl preview series. We're going to be breaking down the positions by positions, looking at some of the matchups to take a look at in Super Bowl 51. We're going to start today by looking at the quarterbacks. And, Mike, these are 2 of the best in the game for sure.
They are 2 of the best in the game. We're going to talk about Matt Ryan, Matty Ice, and we're going to talk about the veteran Tom Brady. First, we're going to start with Matt Ryan. 9 years in the league, 31 years old, out of Boston College, actually hometown high school kid, William Penn Charter in Philadelphia. Here's a kid who comes in as the MVP candidate, 2008 Rookie of the Year, 8-time Player of the Week, and twice in 2016 he was Player of the Week. Brian, you look at these stats on him, and he hasn't been in the league as long as Tom Brady, but some of these stats are staggering. I mean, in the regular season, 4,944 yards, 38 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and a passer rating of 117.1. And also, there's a first on Matt Ryan, too. He is the first quarterback in history to have a passer rating over 120 plus for 6 consecutive weeks. I mean, this guy is really doing it this year. And for me to underestimate him last year, I apologize, Matty Ice. I apologize. You are getting it done. If you look at before 2016, he had 103.3 passer rating, and in 2016 alone, he had 117.1 passer rating. So here's a guy who's now going to go to four Pro Bowls. Even though in 2013, 14, and 15, he had 17 interceptions, 14 interceptions, and 15 interceptions, he's really turned the corner, Brian. He's really tearing up this year. I mean, you can't stress more about this offense really getting it done.
A career year for Matt Ryan, and the MVP talk is for sure extremely warranted for this player. I think in many ways he was really given the brunt of the blame for the team having underperformed the last couple of years, but what a great year he had this year. I mean, he is the reason that the Falcons are here, frankly. And the thing about him is, again, in previous years, I think you look at some of the stats like you mentioned. It was the best statistical year of his career, most yards he ever had, best completion percentage that he ever had. Looks like most touchdowns by a mile that he's ever had. I mean, you can't say enough about the year that he's had, and you can kind of look around and he's making the players around him better.
Absolutely.
And you got to give him some credit there. I mean, of course, having Julio Jones is helpful, no question. But you got guys like Mohamed Sanu and guys like Taylor Gabriel who've been jettisoned from other teams. They're playing phenomenally for Matt Ryan. So you give Ryan a lot of credit there, and he's really taken this team, I think, really much farther than anybody really thought they were going to go this year. They were not a preseason pick.
You look at his last 6 games, he's had a 72.8 completion percentage, 18 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, 133.3 passer rating, and 39 points per game. I mean, you can't say any more than that about the offense clicking with Matt Ryan. You go back to the Green Bay game, or you can go back to the Seattle game. You talk about 338 yards passing, a 50% on third down, 26 for 37, 3 touchdowns, and 125.7 passer rating. Then you go to the Green Bay game, which I'll admit I took a big bath on that game. I took Packers. I thought Matty Ice would slow down a little bit. 392 yards, 76.9 on third down percentage, 27 for 38, 4 touchdowns, 139.4 passer rating, and a big middle finger by Matty Ryan to me, tell him, screw you, Mike, look what I'm doing. I mean, this guy is really turning up the heat over here. And another quick stat against the AFC. Well, Brian, I mean, just
well, to me, having watched the game, it really felt like all of the Aaron Rodgers love throughout the week.
Yep.
Given that Matt Ryan had such a great season, I think it kind of gave him some extra motivation, and I completely can appreciate that. He went out there and he just got the job done. I mean, Atlanta had the pedal to the metal the whole game. They just dismantled a Green Bay team that hadn't lost in a while. Yeah. So you give a lot of credit there to Matt Ryan, and again, deservedly here. First time that Atlanta's been in the Super Bowl since 1998 when the Dirty Birds, Jamal Anderson. Was it like this or something?
It was the little pump. Yep.
Yeah.
It was nice.
So but again, it's good to see a guy who he was never the reason Atlanta hadn't been performing.
No.
And I think it's refreshing to see him getting the credit he deserves and leading his team to an NFC Championship.
He's really working with the weapons he had with Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman back there as well. Even tight end, we don't mention tight end much, but Jacob Tamme and Tualu is having a really good year as well. You want to go back to Matty Ice's playoffs that he's been into. 5 years in the playoffs, that's including this year, back to 2008. They did lose to Atlanta, or they did lose to Arizona 30-24. In 2010, they lost to a Green Bay team 48-21. That Green Bay team also went to win the Super Bowl that year. Yeah. 2011, they also lost to the New York Giants in New York. Again, another Super Bowl team that went on to win the Super Bowl. 2012 and 2016. Both those years I mentioned because he's had a 70-plus completion percentage. He's had 16 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 1,960 yards, and a 67.6 completion percentage over those 5 playoffs, which isn't bad. Like we said before, it's not the reason why they're losing. I mean, they gave this guy all the money. He's one of the top 3 paid quarterbacks in the league. And now you're looking at the stats, and obviously they saw something that we're just looking at now. But Matty Ice was never the reason they're getting it done. You look at his career stats, his 8-year career, 64.9% completion percentage, 37,000 yards, folks, in 8 years. 240 touchdowns and a 93.6 passer rating. I mean, this guy's doing it.
What I find really interesting about the year that he had this year is he hasn't had this few attempts since 2009. He had 534 attempts every year since 2009. He's had significantly more than that. But he's never had this many yards either.
No.
So he's much more efficient. Over 9 yards average completion. I mean, he's doing it. He's getting it done more than he ever has before. And I think that you can thank a solid running game for that.
They're very balanced.
Yes, they're much more balanced than I think people give them credit for, because they always assume Julio Jones are airing it out. But for people that have been sleeping on the Falcons, again, and I've picked them to lose 2 straight weeks. I'm not going to shy away from that. I thought they would lose both of those games, and I was proven wrong by a great quarterback. I'm really excited to see what he can do on the real, true, biggest stage in football, biggest stage in sports, frankly, to see what he can do there. But you look on the other side of the field there, Mike.
Other side of the
other guy's been there once or twice.
A couple times. You got the veteran Tom Brady. I shouldn't say veteran; they're both veterans, but the more seasoned guy in Tom Brady. 17 years in the league, 39 years young, from Michigan, Sierra High School in San Mateo, California. Again, another MVP candidate. It's amazing he's another MVP candidate when he missed 4 games of the season. 3,554 yards, 28 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, still a passer rating of 112.2. In the last 6 games, excluding the playoffs, Tom Brady has a passer rating 115 or higher. I said it during the season, said it beginning of the season. This guy's on a mission this year, and it's almost great to see if Tom Brady can pull this off. Roger Goodell giving him the trophy when he suspended him 4 games at the beginning of the year. So I would love to see that. That would be just the tip of the iceberg for me in the cap. Quick couple facts about Tom Brady. 12-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, 2-time MVP, 4-time Super Bowl winner. Guy's been to the Super Bowl now. This will be 7. 6 times he's been there. He's won it 4 times. So, I mean, if you wanted to roll through stats, we'd give you Tom Brady's. We'd have to do a whole show on just Tom Brady's stats. But 2 of the stats that really stood out for me is the guy has 38 fourth-quarter comebacks and 49 game-winning drives. I mean, that could be a recipe for disaster.
This is some simple math for you guys, but Tom Brady has now played in 14% of all Super Bowls.
It's amazing. It's absolutely
it's insane. And, it's the consistency of the success. And the one thing. I'm a big believer, and those of you that have watched the Sports Box throughout this season know that I'm a believer in quarterbacks make receivers and not vice versa. We talked a lot about, we're in the Philadelphia area. We talk about the Eagles quite a bit because, we're in the area, not Eagles fans, but we talk about the Eagles quite a bit. And, there was always, get Carson Wentz some weapons because these guys keep dropping balls. And I understand some of that. But Tom Brady does this year in and year out with guys that if you put them on different teams would be absolute nobodies. They're a function of Brady. Yep. They're a product of Brady. Again, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola. These are the guys he's throwing to. This guy hasn't had Gronkowski for a couple weeks. He's going to go to try to win a 5th championship and not even have arguably his primary weapon. And they have not skipped a beat. Mm-hmm. They've frankly obliterated 2 of the better teams in the AFC, at least. Yep. Houston defensively and Pittsburgh as a whole. This is just what they do, and you give a lot of credit, honestly, to who the consistent pieces. Yep. Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Yep. It's just you're absolutely right, and you said this from the get-go, and you get a ton of credit for it. He's been on a mission the whole time. He wants to pretty much embarrass Roger Goodell.
Absolutely.
And when you give an uber-talented guy like Tom Brady, you give him some extra motivation, just watch out. And you look at how he's just ripped apart the league this year. Again, this is, his best average completion since 2011. 28 touchdowns this year, again, missing 4 games. Mm-hmm. What more can you say about the guy? This is his stage.
You talk about the last 2 playoff games that he's played in this year against Houston. 287 passing yards, 50% third downs, which is not that good, but 18 of 38 attempts, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 68.6 rating. That wasn't Tom Brady's obviously finest of work, and if Houston had any kind of offense, they may have challenged New England to win that game. But we get by that game. He turns around against Pittsburgh, who is obviously a better team than Houston, coming into his place. You look at 384 passing yards, 59% on third downs. Now that is low because they didn't need to get the third down. They were really getting the ball on first and second down, moving the chains. 32 of 42 attempts, 3 touchdowns, and 127.5 passer rating. Okay, what a bounce back week that is for him. You look at Tom Brady as a whole, against the NFC South, folks, he's 13-3. The guy has a winning record against every team in the league over his career. Against the NFC itself, he's 48-15. You talk about the playoffs from 2001 to current 2016, Brian. If I told you how many times you think Tom Brady didn't make the playoffs, what would you tell me?
For what period of time again?
2001 to 2016, his career. How many times did Tom Brady not make the playoffs?
I'm going to go with 0.
That would be twice.
Oh, really?
2002 and 2008, they did not make the playoffs. But other than that, he's made the playoffs every year of his existence.
Well, I will tell you, 2008 was the year that he got hurt as well.
Correct.
So it wasn't his fault.
It was not his fault. Another correction, it's not his fault.
Don't blame him.
So you look at 2001, they won the Super Bowl, they beat St. Louis. 2003, they won the Super Bowl, they beat Carolina. 2004, they won the Super Bowl, they beat Philadelphia. 2005, they lost in the conference to Denver. 2006, they lost in the conference to Indianapolis. 2007, they lost the Super Bowl. Did I just say Super Bowl again?
Super Bowl.
I did. Super Bowl to the Giants. In 2009, they lost in the wild card round, and in 2010, they lost in the wild card round. That was it for wild cards, folks. That's the only time they've lost that early in the playoffs. 2011, they lost in Super Bowl to the Giants again. 2012, they lost in the conference to Baltimore. 2013, they lost in the conference to Denver. 2014, they won the Super Bowl against Seattle, but you could probably say Carroll probably blew that one with the last call at the end. But
the bizarre slant pass?
The bizarre slant pass, which no reason to throw it. Anyway, that's a whole different story. 2015, lost in the conference to Denver. Here's a team that's going back to the Super Bowl again for the 7th time. He's won 4 of them. He's got 2 MVPs. Can you say any more about Tom Brady? No. But if you look at his final, and on this last I'll have on it, the career stats for Tom Brady, 63.8 completion percentage, 61,582 yards, 456 touchdowns, 97.2 passer rating, 259.8 yards a game he throws for, and 17 rushing touchdowns over a 17-year career. Amazing. The guy obviously is a Hall of Famer, but he's deadly in the Super Bowl.
Well, not even just that. The guy's turning 40 in August,
and he's still at the same level he has been.
You're hearing stories of Ben Roethlisberger might not come back next year. He's 35. my God, when's this guy going to slow down?
Yep.
You know, in a league where NFL stands for not for long, the average career is what 4 years, something like that. This guy's been doing this for a very, very long time. And what I'm going to be very interested to see, specifically in this quarterback versus quarterback matchup, mea culpa. I had said that Matt Ryan's never played an NFC Championship game before. He did against San Francisco. Thank you to our loyal viewers for pointing that out. I am not perfect.
A few times.
Once or twice, yeah. We appreciate that.
Yep.
But, this is a bigger stage in the NFC Championship game. This is not, again, Brady's been here. This is nothing new to Tom Brady.
Multiple times.
He can absolutely, he's not going to be swallowed up by the lights. I'll be curious to see if this affects Matt Ryan at all. And it's natural. It's human. This has never been at this spot before. But again, he deserves to be there this year. This is going to be, I think, what this tells me, this matchup tells me, it just illustrates how important quarterback play is in the NFL. And if you don't have a quarterback, you're not going anywhere, because these are two of the best in the game.
Yep,
and it's going to be real interesting to see the duel that these two go into in Super Bowl 50.
And they're both having great years. And listen, we're not saying, at least I'm not saying by any stretch, that Matt Ryan can't get this done. He's at the point now where he's having an MVP year. He is clicking on all cylinders. Tom Brady had to go in there at one point and win the Super Bowl, and he did in 2001, his first Super Bowl. I'm not saying that at all. Matt Ryan could definitely go in there and win the Super Bowl as well as Tom Brady. So it's going to be very interesting, and you got to watch our prediction show where we're going to predict who's going to win, the Patriots again or the new coming Atlanta Falcons with Matt Ryan. It's going to be very, very interesting for us. So that's all the time we have for the Sports Box today. Thank you for watching our quarterback comparisons. But remember, you can always get us out there if you need us.
Absolutely. Twitter and Facebook, both at Sports Box Show. And, of course, thank you very, very much to our subscribers. And if you haven't joined them, give a couple seconds. You see the Sports Box logo right here. You can definitely subscribe right through there. And, again, we keep bringing you content you guys are looking for. Our Patriots Steelers preview, over 50,000 views. We cannot thank you guys enough for the support. We're going to keep bringing good content to you, so make sure you're on the train.
And keep the comments coming. We love to hear what you guys are saying to us. We'll respond as quick as we can to you. Hey, we love the feedback. You guys want to go back and forth with each other, we love it. So keep an eye out for us. Remember, we got good shows coming. And remember, at the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters. Right?
It's right here.
It's right. If you know what? I'm not going to say it. It's right here. See you. 3.
Don't forget to subscribe.